Morning, everyone. This is Rich again with Harvard Community Services Center gardening program. We're here at the end of our private drive where we have this large cul-de-sac, and in the center we have this garden. This garden actually belongs to the school directly behind us, Archbishop Like Elementary School, and they've given us permission to rework the bed here. Because over the last 10 or 15 years, each year you'll add mulch to the soil, to the bed, and the mulch just accumulates. And you can see it's gotten too high, where when it rains, this soil becomes very hard, and the rain just runs right off and goes into the street. And you can see right here, this is the soil. This is the original height of the bed. Over the last several days, we've been removing, like this, one shovel full of soil from the entire area and putting it in the wheelbarrow, just like this, to lower the level of this bed. The bed has to go lower because we need the water to collect on the edge of the curb. So just like over here, I've taken away the soil already, and you can see when it rains, the water will come down, it'll hit the curb, and it'll collect in the bed. We need that because we're going to have native perennials in this bed primarily, along with some pollinators. And for the last 5 years at Harvard Community Service Center, we've been turning this 2.7 acre property into a mini native perennial nursery. The idea is to develop the native perennials and eventually be able to distribute them throughout Ward 1. So Ward 1 becomes a friendly corridor for the monarchs to travel from Canada down to Mexico on their migrational path. Native perennials are also great because they tend to be deer resistant, and I know everybody here in Ward 1 would like to have deer resistant plants, so we really encourage you to come here to the Harvard Community Center. We have a program where we're starting to disperse native perennials into people's yards through one of our planting programs, and come here, and I'd love to talk to you about it and see if we get you into the program. But now, along with developing the bed, along with moving the soil, is come in here. This bed's been left alone for quite a few years. We have weeds in here that we need to get rid of. Joe's over there digging out some weeds right now, and here's an example. We have this, it's called henbit, Henbit. If you notice, it has a square stalk. Anything with a square stalk is in the mint family, and mint tends to be very invasive and goes everywhere in the garden where you really don't want it. This really travels mostly by seed, so we're taking them up now so they don't, the seeds don't go into the ground and germinate, and we'll have this problem over and over. This is another invasive plant, and I've forgotten what the name is, but if you see this in your garden, it's got to go. It's got a very pretty little yellow flower, and gosh, I used to know the name, but I've forgotten it. So that's some homework. You could look it up on the internet and see what this is. So we're taking all these weeds. Now, you can see on this side, I've lowered the bed all the way over there, and we have to do this side, but it's just too much to do at once, so we're doing it in quarters. This is a native perennial that I just planted a few days ago. It was one plant, we divided it. It was out for a while, it took a little bit of shock. I'll just shove this back in the ground. It came up probably with the rain. And this is gray-headed coneflower. It's a very nice native perennial. It'll grow about 5 or 6 feet tall, and it's got a very nice yellow flower at the end of it that lasts pretty much throughout to the end of the season. Where else do we have down here? This is going to be some great blue lobelia. It's a colonizing plant, so it'll form a large clump in here. So I'm giving it kind of this area for itself. This is a toad lily plant that was here, and if you notice, all these ragged edges, the deer have been eating this. So I'm going to remove this from here and put it into another place on the property where it's protected from the deer, and this will do a lot better. So this plant will come out. And then moving over here into the front, we have plants that I've been growing for a while. This is some Ragwort. Ragwort. Again, another native perennial. Does very well in the sun. If you cut off the blooms, it'll continue blooming all season. And I dug those up. If you come with me right over here, you can see where I dug these up from our starter bed that we've had here for the last 5 years. And this is the second year I've dug out of here. All the ragwort came from in here. And I still have plenty more to dig up. It goes by rhizome and by seed, so it's very prolific.